old Marine saying, no pain, no gain. This is chapter number 6. And I called it The Gathering of Warriors, but it really is an introduction to Jerry Shea and Jeff Nadeau, two of the toughest guys I ever knew in my life. Don't tell them I said that. DIs at Parris Island are very much spit polished and squared away most of the time. However, like all pressure cooker type jobs, we have to have time off, and time off in the Marine Corps is called Liberty. Our favorite Liberty hangout was the base slop shoot. Slop shoot is a Marine name for bar, and it's exclusively for enlisted non-commissioned officers, that's corporal and above. One Liberty night, I saw a guy standing at the bar, actually scaring the pants off all the other salty ass NCOs and DIs with merely his hand movements and generally fierce facial attitude. I asked Jerry at my new DI meets about him, and was told he was a very dangerous karate and judo instructor, a fierce warrior, a black belt, trained in Japan. That got my attention. I walked up, tapped him on the shoulder, survived his intimidating scowl in front of all the intimidating and admiring people standing around him. He looked at me and said, "What the fuck do you want?" I bowed politely and said, "Sensei, will you teach me judo?" Except for war movies on the Saturday matinees, I'd only seen judo practiced in Philly at the Marine Guard Detachment, where a group of short-timers, that's a name Marines give to people awaiting discharge, who had just returned from a tour of duty in Japan, were practicing every day. I walked into the base gym one afternoon, after guard duty, and saw several grown men throwing each other all over the place, with absolutely no effort whatsoever. They looked like they had pajamas on. I watched for a while, and I actually fell in love with judo. "Hey, can I train with you guys?" "Sure," they smiled. "We just love raw meat. Step in." I got thrown around for the next few months, and then as suddenly as I was transferred to become a DI at PI, the next thing I knew I was looking at scary-looking Sergeant Jeffrey Nadeau. And after my insolent tap on the shoulder, and his very insolent "yes, of course," I knew at that excellent very moment I was hooked on judo for life. He therefore announced to all the surrounding scholars how he was forming a competitive judo team on the base for all comers and was looking for students. Later, during his regular nightly training sessions, I learned he had a plan to convince the commanding general, Wallace Green, that he would introduce judo as a perfect practice of self-defense and hand-to-hand combat to all Marine recruits at Parris Island. I did not know this at the time of the shoulder tap. That one tap changed my entire life forever. Sergeant Jeff Nadeau became my first official judo sensei, and after a few months in class, he recruited me and others from the drill field to become his first United States Marine Corps full-time judo instructors. I was now officially an American samurai. Wow. I thought I arrived in warrior heaven. We had public relations official pictures that were taken by the base for the base newspaper, with us kneeling formally on the mat in our Japanese judo gis. That's the formal fighting outfit that we wear. Hell, here's now my own personal judo story, and here's how it really began. As I mentioned earlier, in the middle 50s, an unfortunate accident happened at Parris Island. 6 Marine recruits were drowned in a tidal stream behind a rifle range during the unusual nighttime military march. Many famous United States Marines, including General Chesty Puller, weighed in as witnesses at the trial, and they cleaned house as a result. They took everybody who was training at Parris Island off the base, and a new crew was sent down. It was a clean sweep. This incident was the sole reason that myself, plus 150 other Marine DIs, were ordered to participate in the new class. As a result of the Marine Corps soul searching, Brigadier General Wallace Green was sent to Parris Island to form a new Marine Corps Recruit Training Command. He emphasized the new and very strenuous physical training regimen for all Marine recruits. Sergeant Jeffrey Nadeau was serving as a standard ordinary DI, just like me, for the 3rd Recruit Training Battalion. General Green, a future commandant of the entire Marine Corps, learned of Jeff's service records that he was trained in Japan as a black belt karate, that's punching and kicking, as weaponless empty-handed fighting. He was also trained in the secrets of the art of judo and jujitsu, that's throwing, grappling, blocking, choking, all weaponless fighting. And he was also trained in the Mecca of judo, the Kodokan Judo School in Tokyo, Japan. Jeff was called to the General's office to discuss training of Marines in this Oriental martial art. Jeff convinced the General Green that it was doable and safe if proper mats and training for Marine instructors were available. Mats were critical because of the vicious throwing techniques required for teaching recruits self-defense. Sergeant Nadeau was asked to demonstrate the break fall and its safety features right on the cement walk in front of the command center, which he did. The Corps had never formally taught self-defense, other than informally during the Second World War by Colonel Anthony Drexel Biddle, who taught both armed bayonet and knives and unarmed jiu-jitsu as a result and direct response to the National Japanese Bushido training for all Japanese warriors. And by the way, interestingly enough, my first civilian coach, Ishikawa, was the man who trained all the Japanese during the Second World War. He also became world champion 49 and 50. And of course he came to America at the behest of General Curtis LeMay in the Air Force. Jeff was assigned by General Green to head up the United States Marine self-defense and hand-to-hand combat development, starting with all new recruits at Paris Island. It began slowly, with scrounds, mats, and a war memorial building. Then the enormity of this new mission became apparent, and Jeff had to rely on his own judo team to recruit the rest of his instructors for teaching recruits. Mats were ordered from Sunbury, Pennsylvania. You'll hear about that town later in the story. And they were shipped to PI, and a regularly scheduled recruit training effort was officially authorized. Here's